Joining me this evening for a quick chat on the impact of COVID-19 to the export industry is Shiham Marika, Secretary General of the National Chamber of Exporters of the country. A very good evening to you and welcome, Shiham, for joining us this evening on the show. Starting off, what has been the impact of COVID-19 to the export industry in the short, medium and the long term?
Shamir, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me for the program. The exporters of Sri Lanka, they are facing a double shock. First, the interruption in producing, and then of course the interruption they are facing in selling. Because keeping in mind, more than 190 countries around the world have been negatively impacted due to the virus spread, and most of these countries have been buying from us. So even if Sri Lanka recovers fully, we will still have to face the issue of exporting. And the main exports of Sri Lanka goes to USA and Europe. And assuming those countries, because they are very developed, if they recover during the next 3 to 6 months, still they will have their own interest to deal with. So Sri Lankan exporters will have to think of new strategies, maybe a give and take strategy in moving forward.
Now, there is a 50 billion rupee concessionary loan given by the government to the business community. How much from this pie will be allocated to the export industry right now?
Well, the 50 billion government support is, I'm sure it's done with good intention and it is welcomed by the business community. But we cannot say what portion of that is being for the exporters. Now, when we talk about the refinancing mechanism that is introduced by the central bank, where they have agreed to refinance the commercial banks, we spoke to our members. We have around 900 exporters members in our chamber. What they are saying is, it is the bank that will be taking the risk when they are lending. So what kind of collateral will the banks ask from the borrower? Now, a SME, will he be able to provide this collateral? In the meantime, we also spoke to some of the banks who are partnered with the chamber, and what they have assured us is that they are not going to go after the same criteria in terms of checking the crib and all the other hurdles that a borrower has to meet, if not for this. So they are agreed to work much more closely, much more favorably, and a word that they used is that they are going to look at the credibility of the applicant.
So Shiham, you say that SMEs are going to have a problem because the collateral commercial banks are requesting from the borrower is not yet articulated by the commercial banks in question. So that means not everyone can have a slice of this pie at present, isn't it?
No, I don't think everyone will be eligible to get the financial assistance.
So why have it if that's the case? Because this has to impact the small and medium scale entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, isn't it?
Yeah, but see, when you look at the exporters of Sri Lanka, we could say that most of them, they follow very good discipline in their finance management. They practice, they have good ethical practices, good governance. So I think if a proper application is made, and if they are being very open and honest with their future plans, the banks will come forward and support.
That's very subjective.
This is the assurance we have got from our partnering banks, and we hope that the banks will take that next step, not to make it difficult.
So now the problem is, does the government or the Central Bank of Sri Lanka have this money? Because at the end of the year, the Central Bank of the country is projecting a less than 2% economic growth in the country. If that is the case, do we have the money?
Well, I think it is challenging, but since the government has made the announcement, openly made the announcement that they have 50 billion, they are going to give it to the business community, we have to work around that. I mean, questioning whether they have it or not, that is not what we need to do right now. They have said they have given a deadline up to end of this month, and we hope that that will be extended. But I think if a proper application is made, we are confident that this money will be given through the commercial banks.
But in the past also, Shiham, respective governments have made claims and never has it been materialized. And you say there is a concessionary loan and never does it come to the small and medium scale entrepreneurs in the country. So there is a risk, isn't it?
Well, there is a risk, but we have to be very positive and we have to work with the government And
So let's talk about layoffs and pay cuts. I know, Shyam, we have a difference of opinion with regard to this. You would say that the Australian government had already announced that there is a 3-month grace period given by the Australian government to business establishments not to lay off or have pay cuts to their business establishments. But in Sri Lanka, the situation is different. You cannot expect the same mentality or the same commitment from the government as far as the private sector is concerned, isn't it?
No, when we talk about pay cuts and layoff, these are highly sensitive subjects. Now, we did discuss with our membership on this. There are some members who have told us that they have saved for a rainy day, so they can go on for the next 2-3 months. There are other members, for example, there are members who have produced goods ready to be exported and their orders have been cancelled. Now, they are in a huge cash flow, sort of a negative cash flow situation. What do? So, we would like to request the government to come out and make an announcement that they will offer some sort of financial assistance in terms of maybe 3 months salaries for the private sector workers, and announce not to go ahead and do the layoff, not to lay off. They can use the wages board as a criteria to maybe decide on a minimum wage and offer that to the exporters. So keeping in mind, exporters have been bringing in the foreign currency to the country. They have been paying tax. At a time like this, I think it's very fair for exporter to request this from the government to hold their hands for the next 3 months. Remember, exporters are a resilient bunch of people. Right? We survived a 30-year-old war. We survived the tsunami. We survived the last year East attack. And we will survive. We will fight this. But at a time like this, when there is cash flow problems, I mean, this is the first time we are facing like this.
All this is wishful thinking, Shyam, for you to come here today and say, guess what, give us a 3-month grace period to support our business establishments so we won't be going for a layoff or pay cuts. But all this is wishful thinking. At the end of the day, the brunt has to be borne by the private sector themselves.
Yes, that is right. But just imagine if companies start laying off people. We have the labor law in one side. We have unions. People will come out to the street. Now, that is not something the country needs.
But you come here today and tell me there are archaic labor laws. This has to change for us to move forward. I would buy that.
Yeah.
But this claim, unfortunately, I can't buy it.
Well, the labor law also needs to be looked at because, see, for example, there are exporters who are still in the process of receiving small orders. They can produce these goods by using maybe 50% of their resources. But if they have to lay off the other 50%, how does the labor law come into play? These are areas we need to look at. We need to work closely with the stakeholders.
But right now, Shyam, as we speak, there is a political tug of war in Sri Lanka about holding an election in the coming few months. In your opinion, what would be the point of view of the exporter in Sri Lanka about holding an election now? Do you think they will be in favor? Because you say they're very resilient, they will take up any hit. But would they be okay with the government having plans to go for an election at this point of time?
Well, as a private sector chamber, our mandate is to work with exporters. I don't like to make any comments on with regards to elections. But let me say this: whatever political party comes into power, whoever politician comes into power, they need to work with exporters because exporters bring in prosperity to a nation. They need the exporters to bring in the foreign currency. We have huge amounts of loans to pay. So they have to work with the exporters. So whether they want to have elections or not, let them decide it. But what I would like to request is, let not these political games become a problem to the exporters community, because we are now beginning now. Curfews have been lifted. People will start going to work. We will start our business. They should be given the maximum support. So we hope that these political things that's happening will not be a sort of a negative impact on their business.
Shyam, there are many chambers right now as you speak in Sri Lanka. There is the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, then you have the National Chamber of Exporters that you represent, then we have the National Chamber of Commerce, then we have the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, we have the Entrepreneurs Chamber, and then we have the Colombo Chamber of Commerce. But don't you think that all these chambers have to unite together? They should not work in silos, because we know that alone we are weak and together we are all strong.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Chambers should get together, but also we must keep in mind, if you take my chamber, we are exclusively working with only exporters and service providers to exporters. So the issues faced by the exporters are different to the members of other chambers. But there are common cross-cutting issues. I think chambers should get together. We do have something called a joint chambers forum, where the presidents and the secretary generals of these chambers get together to discuss common issues, and we represent our members with the relevant state. This is already there. But as you say, yes, now is a time where the chambers should get together and not work in silos. I agree on that.
So Shyam, having a one-stop shop for the exporters who are watching this program tonight, it's quite important, because when you want to get a chamber certification, you have to go to a chamber in question. You have to get a quarantine certification, you have to go to the health authorities. You have to get an affidavit, you have to go to the foreign ministry. When you want to get an importer's license, you have to go to the customs, you have to go to the shipping department. How important is it to have a one-stop shop? At least now we have to learn a lesson. Have you learned this lesson at least now during COVID-19?
Yes, I think during the period of lockdown, there were certain export enterprises that were functioning. But when we talk about an exporter, it's not only that particular company. There are other relevant agencies such as the Customs, the Ports Authority, the Department of Commerce, Export Development Board. Various approvals needs to be taken by exporter from all of them. So having a one-stop shop will be really helpful, so that the exporter doesn't have to go to 10. It's difficult for them to go anyway with the curfews and everything. So one-stop shop would be an ideal solution. It has not yet been implemented, but I think they should do it as soon as possible moving forward.
Thank you very much, Shyam Marika, Secretary General of the National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka, for joining us
Thank you.
This evening on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on board. Just to remind our viewers that Face the Nation would be telecast as usual at 9:30 p.m. starting from Monday. Keep a tab on what's happening across your purview, and make sure that you tune into Face the Nation tomorrow to get an in-depth look at how politics is transforming Sri Lanka at present. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do: we don't have to sacrifice a strong economy for a healthy environment. Stay connected, stay with News First. We'll be back.